Okay, I've got a question. What do a fancy set of holiday parties, a retreat to Vermont, and faulty seatbelts have in common?
Oh no, somehow, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in 2024's Holiday Crashers. We have a lot to talk about, Josh.
We do, Jennifer, and we will unwrap it all on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
Well, we love a good party. We love Christmas, obviously, and we get both in this brand new movie. So in this episode, we will recap the plot of Holiday Crashers, and a bit later on in our Golder Coal segment, we will let you know if we think it is worth the watch.
That's right. So here's the plot summary. Two best friends crash Christmas parties and unexpectedly find love and purpose. Let's go.
So curtain up, and we are in a cute little gift shop. It's sort of one of those stationery shops that has cards and gifts and that sort of thing. It's bustling for the holiday. We meet our leads, two women. Their names are Tony and Bree, and they are gabbing over holiday invites. I guess a lot of people order these custom invites. They've got some extras. Look at this one. Look at this one. It's, they're excited for the holidays, but not overly so. There's a delivery job of some invitations to be had, and the gals decide to step up to the challenge. So they are delivering the invites at a very fancy schmancy house, but there happens to be another party already going on at this house. And yeah, so they go in to deliver the invitations, and they think to themselves, why not? Let me just grab a snack or two. So they start looking like they're guests of this cocktail party for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, enough time to catch the eye of a guest we will soon meet. So stay tuned. Tony is then off to visit her mom and dad, presumably after work. He is a personal injury attorney. So think Bart Durham, think Morgan and Morgan, cheesy commercials, the whole 9 yards.
Wherever you live, you've got one of these.
You've got one.
Some may call them ambulance chasers, but if you're in a bind, you can call them on time. Or, they all have the slogans and the marketing and presumably make a good living at it. So.
Exactly. But Dad is bummed that Tony didn't take the bar and puts the pressure on. So she apparently finished law school, went to Ivy League law school, but was not prepared, I guess, to take the bar. So we will learn more about that.
Back, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the story there. So there's drama with her dad in terms of the relationship there. So back at the gift shop, Bree decides she can work Christmas Eve. She doesn't have anything going on, but she spots an invite to a fancy schmancy party, and she thinks to herself, I wonder. So now we are at a hotshot BBD. Yet again, second movie from Countdown to Christmas, and we are back with a big bad developer plotline here. And our male lead, his name is Justin. He is looking at pics from the recent Hobnobby cocktail party that he attended, the one that Tony and Bree snuck into a few scenes back. And he is immediately a smitten kitten when he is looking at these pictures because he really likes Tony. He is, however, quickly snapped back to reality with some big development project that's in the works, and it's a lot of chatter about the project, this and that, and the whole 9 yards. Yeah. Tony and Bree are having a dinner together. They have apparently been friends for a very, very long time. And part of their tradition is that they do these themed dinners, which I think is really adorable. It actually reminded me a lot of something my mom used to do, Jennifer. We did not have a whole lot of money growing up. And so we had this free video section at the video rental store in our small little hometown in Vermont. And so she used to always get the free video rentals, and then she would cobble together some dinner because the videos were all travel videos. It was like, let's go to France, let's go to China, let's go to Japan. And she would come up with some sort of creative, on budget dinner that was themed around the video that we were going to watch. So come on. It's very reminiscent of that for me. I loved it. It reminded me of my mom.
Fuzzies, for sure.
Yes, it did. It gave me the warm and fuzzies for sure. So they're having this dinner, and Bree pitches the plan that they get gussied up and crash a fancy party that they know is coming up. It's meant to be a distraction from what we presume are their humdrum lives. So they sneak their way into their first one. They assume some fake identities, and before you know it, Justin happens to be there. Apparently, he's on the social scene in whatever town we're in. Yeah, he's there. He offers Tony a glass of champagne. He is flirty and references seeing her at the cocktail party a few minutes back, but Tony is less than interested at this point. We get a doula explanation montage because
Yeah.
Tony, in trying to create a fake persona for herself, says she is a doula, and she decides to go with it. And Justin is still trying to flirt with her in the midst of all of it. As they're leaving, the valet is super flirty with Bree, and I start to think to myself, oh, so stay tuned. Clearly, we're going to have something there. All right, so let me pause here, Jennifer. We're a few minutes in. We've met the characters. We've kind of gotten the premise of what's happening here. What are you thinking? What are you feeling about it? Go.
Similar to the first movie we recapped this season, or Twas the Day Before Christmas, I thought it had a lot of energy out of the gate. I think we're meeting a lot of people. I like to watch with the closed captions. My closed captions said bustle of conversation. There was lots of bustling of conversation. I enjoyed the girls' fashion right out of the gate. I thought it was super well done and elevated compared to what we usually see. And I was here for it. I think it's a cute premise. It's something we've never seen before. The energy behind it reminded me of the Santa Summit beginning last year. Like just a younger vibe,
Yeah.
but a lot of energy. It's not, this movie, you can already tell, is not going to be for the every Hallmark viewer.
No.
If your favorite movie is The Christmas Card from back in the day, this is probably not your vibe. They're just two different vibes. But for a newer generation that they're, I think, trying to drum up viewers for, this is the type of movie that would bring in a younger audience. So,
Good point.
not
Good
that
point.
young, but
Yeah.
I was here for it.
You are. The gals unpack the previous night the next day while trimming the tree, and they decide to hatch a plan to crash a bunch of parties because they had a good time. So we soon get a montage of that. Then later we're back at Tony's house. They're, for reasons unknown to me, lugging this gigantic Santa in, and her mom has some fresh cookies. Now, out of nowhere, Tony decides to let it be known why she didn't take the bar. And Jennifer hinted at this. She had a panic attack. Now, they're Christmas decorating. It's kind of comedic with this gigantic Santa. She lets on that she had a panic attack. And then this whole scene just takes a big dramatic turn, and Dad gets super offended. It was a roller coaster in this particular scene here. So the gals,
Basically insinuated she's not proud of him and the work he does.
yeah,
She's embarrassed by it.
she's embarrassed by his work and his commercial and the whole 9 yards. It was, yeah. The gals are off.
One thing I do want to note is very important to the plot, not really, but Mom makes cookies every year that are injured Santas in some way. And this year's theme, Santa has a broken leg and he's on crutches, and I think it's hilarious.
I do too.
Because he's an injury lawyer.
It's very cute. Wife is very
Fury, it's
proud.
so funny and quippy, and they had this big Santa, and then it's like, oh, now we're offended. Now Dad and Tony are fighting, and
Yeah.
it's like, what? How do we get here?
Yeah, exactly. The gals are off at another party, assuming they're fake ideas, except someone recognizes Tony. And this is a coworker of Justin, and he's there 1 second later, again, out of nowhere, busy on the social scene. And her doula persona is officially busted. It turns out Tony knows a few things, however, from her dad about an upcoming class action lawsuit impacting the car company that Justin's company wants to buy. And when I tell you I wrote that in my notes and reread it 5 times to make sure it was accurate, that's the kind of integrity that I want to have on this podcast. That's the work that we've got to do here.
Funny in the beginning. I don't think that I really understood what was happening until the end. But yeah, it's Tony's dad is the injury lawyer. He's had a lot of cases with these faulty seatbelt clients.
Of the company that Justin's, yeah.
Justin's company wants to buy Skyline Motors. Skyline Motors has crappy seatbelts. So
Yes.
she had this intel, but she couldn't disclose where she got it from. And it's really her dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very,
At this party.
it's very beep bop boop at this party. But this all takes yet another turn when, whoa, Justin's very pregnant coworker starts going into labor. And because of that, Tony agrees to, mere seconds later, serve as a consultant for Justin's BBD company at their upcoming retreat in Vermont, even though she is not a real attorney and I write in my notes, this is getting super detailed in a really bonkers kind of way for me. What were you thinking?
It was a whirlwind. So yeah, Justin's coworker, the really pregnant woman, went to school with Tony, went to law school, and says, oh, she was like one of the best in the class. She didn't, I don't gather that their Facebook friends really kept in touch that Tony's working at a card shop and not practicing law. And so she's like, oh, if Tony knows, while she's like breathing hee hoo hoo through her contractions, is like, get Tony on as a consultant. She can fill in while I am on maternity leave. Did we not have a plan? This woman looked 18 months pregnant. Did we not have a backup plan that she was going to go into labor soon and wasn't going to be here for the acquisition of Skyline Motors?
I have a hard time believing it.
All bonkers.
Yes.
It was bonkers. And Justin was like, oh, hey, Tony, you can bring Bree too. You all should both come to
Yeah.
Vermont to the
Because of course we need the
retreat.
because of course we need the besties together because that's what this movie necessitates. Anyway, the
They
gals
can just take off time from the card shop. They didn't have schedule. They weren't scheduled to work the busiest time of year at a gift emporium.
presumably not. The gals pack for Vermont, and Tony is worried about the ethics of pretending to be a lawyer when she's not quite past the bar. Bree is like, girl, I've never been on a vacay. Let's just go have fun. So Bree,
All vibes. Okay, Bree is gonna vibe her vibes all day long. Bree's
Yeah.
the friend, the easy breezy friend that we probably all need to push
Yeah.
us out of our comfort zone.
she's like, don't worry.
Consequences in Bree's world. She looks like $1 million, and she is here to have fun.
Live your life. Live your life.
Yeah.
And seconds later, we are in snowy Vermont. Bree's valet beau, Vinny. Remember the valet from earlier? Yeah, his name is Vinny. He's there too for reasons that are quite unknown to me. Is he like the only valet guy in town, I guess? Anyway,
They mentioned, I don't know if it's later or whatever, that Justin really likes their company. This,
Gotcha.
We Go company that Vinny works for. And so he made sure, since he'd seen them at all these parties, because Justin's at all these parties, I got to get this valet company, which I don't think I ever would have
no.
felt
No
the
one's
need
doing
to
that.
do, But
Yeah.
okay. Also, I've never been on a company retreat. I mean, my office is much, much smaller than Justin's, and we go to dinner locally. We don't rent out a cabin out of state. The cabin was baller, though.
It
Oh,
was.
goodness.
It was
Tell
Bucks
me about the
Deluxe.
cabin. Where is that? Woo. Anyway,
Seriously.
Vinny's there, yes.
Justin's assistant, his name is Sebastian. He drops off the case file on the acquisition of the car company to Tony. Now, he is very skeptical about this situation involving Tony, but he gives her the week's agenda nonetheless. Now, there are crafts and hot cocoa at this fancy BBD team retreat, and they are decorating Christmas trees. Suddenly, though, Justin and Tony are super flirty, and I'm sitting at home wondering if I have missed a few scenes because this all feels very sudden in terms of how their relationship went from tepid to pretty steamy pretty quickly. What were you thinking?
Yeah, literally, I was watching it, and I went downstairs to get dinner, and I came back up, and I thought I'd missed something, and I was like, did I? But the time, I was right on time live, like I had not missed anything. It feels like there was a scene or two that were cut.
Yeah, that was my guess.
Connect the dots a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bree and Vinny are also very flirty in this moment. And later, Tony and Justin are just wandering around the grounds at this Vermont resort and talking about their various winter plans. We're doing no work related to the development itself. So the consultancy that she's there to do, we see none of that. So, okay.
No.
Whatever.
She had already kind of said to Bree, hey, if I don't charge him, if I don't give him an hourly rate, maybe this is all above board, right?
Sure. Let's go with that, Jan. Yeah, exactly. Bree and Vinny also have a flirty chat. He is onto her, though, and she is honest about her boring life. He shares about why he wants to choose his own path. So we're really trying to get into the thick of, what motivates these characters. Back over to Tony and Justin. He lets on that he cannot stand dishonesty, and Tony is officially freaking out, especially when another coworker of Justin's happens to recognize her from yet another party that the girls crashed, at which she apparently said she was a professional skier. So she has been caught in yet another lie. And Justin's assistant, again Sebastian, warns him about falling victim to another dishonest woman. So he apparently has a track record of that.
Yeah. Some woman, I guess, took Justin to the cleaners a year
Yeah.
ago. Right?
Yeah. Not just
You would think your guard would be up a little higher after that. Not
Presumably.
here, Justin. He just flips his hair and starts
Says,
tossing to the wind.
let's go. Yeah. Soon enough, we're at a cute holiday party at the resort, and Bree has been helping with recipes and coffee cart placement for reasons really unknown to me. And Tony looks like $1 million in a sparkly red dress. Justin is super flirty. She gets mad, like big mad. This is Tony. When she overhears two of Justin's colleagues, they're watching TV at the bar at the resort, and a commercial of her dad's comes on, and it's one of these goofy law firm commercials, and they're making fun of him, and she gets mad about that. Bree, meantime, gets a little bit weird when Vinny lets on that he actually owns the valet company, and I'm really unclear why this was such a problem for her.
I was at first, but I think they had that heart-to-heart on their date, and she was kind of talking about, they were both talking about their backstories, and I think he said, in his family and their culture, it's very, you're very pressed, you should be a lawyer or a doctor, you should really have status, and your career is important, and he never did that. And Bree's the every woman, she's not climbing a company ladder. Well, it turns out, yeah, he's not a doctor or a lawyer, but he owns a valet company for bougie parties, so he's probably well-to-do and more established than he let on. He wanted her to see him for who he really was, but it really was off-putting to her because she thought they were more, I guess, equally yoked on the same playing field, and it turns out they're not. Was it an reaction? Yes.
That makes sense.
I think it was her insecurities of her upbringing, because we get that her family, her mom didn't have a lot of money, and she never went on big vacations, and this, like, she said a couple things throughout that I think it was a different society that she grew up in.
Understood. Yeah. Justin and Tony, meantime, have a heart-to-heart about her dad's career. He says some nice things about wanting her there because he had a crush on her since the very first time he saw her. They smooch. So we get a kiss, like, really early on in this thing. Yeah. She almost...
At least I thought Bree stormed in before they did.
Well, no, you're right. They almost... I forgot to put the word almost. They had an almost smooch. It was a brief moment of... What could we call that? A brief moment of intimacy, a bemoy.
I mean, they could probably smell what kind of toothpaste the other one uses.
Yes, it was very that. A brief moment of toothpaste smelling, a bemots. Anyway,
oh boy.
She almost tells him the truth about not being a full-fledged attorney, but Bree's there to unpack her new bummed-out feelings about discovering Vinny is rich. So we're back in Big City. And Justin finally discovers the truth about Tony thanks to his assistant. And this is the oopsie doodle. Now, Tony has to unpack everything with her family. Turns out she discovered the so-called smoking gun that implicates the car company and their faulty seatbelts for the dad's class action lawsuit. It's supposed to be heartwarming in this moment, but it just didn't feel all that heartwarming to me watching it. It was like she was this proud daughter who had found this piece of information that was going to make them millions and millions of dollars. Yeah. It was just, it didn't feel heartwarming to me, even though Dad says, quote unquote, think of how many people we can help. And in my mind, I'm like, think of how much money you're going to make from these class action lawsuits. Like, but you're not fooling nobody with this.
Make a lot of money too. I got confused because she was like, it was like another friend from college gave her this tip and had the smoking gun thing, but we didn't even know who that person was.
No.
I got lost in the sauce there a little bit. It is important to note Tony had called on the retreat and apologized to her dad for treating him like crap. And
yes, they had made up.
Believing in the integrity of his business. So they'd made up. Now, I will say, the scene when they were like, money was a little weird, but I liked, so Tony leaves her parents' house and she goes out to the car and my son was watching it with me. He's like, oh, they're dancing. And I didn't notice it at first, but then it zooms in and Tony's parents were dancing in the window. Now, were they dancing to the tune of millions of dollars because of class action lawsuit? Maybe. But it was a very sweet moment, like the lights, and that gave me some warm, fuzzy feels. I thought they looked really precious and like the daughter looking on at her parents.
Loving
love for one another.
Yeah, very cute. So Tony texts Justin and decides to ask for a meeting. So presumably she wants to clear the air with everything and give him the smoking gun information so that he doesn't make
They
a
did no
terrible...
work on the retreat.
Yes, they did
He's
no
like,
work
"I
on the
don't
retreat.
Think about work.
Yeah.
I'd see you Tuesday.
Yeah.
What?
So Vinny shows up to the gift shop the next day and he makes his case for Bree. And Bree is head over heels and they are officially a couple. So yay there. Tony goes to Justin. He is cold and big mad, like big mad about everything. She's pretty embarrassed, but she offers him the full deets on why they should not go through with acquiring the car company because of the faulty seatbelts. It doesn't end well, this interaction, however, but stay tuned. After all, we have about 10 minutes left in this movie. We go to commercial. We're back from commercial, and we have immediately fast-forwarded a year. Now, Tony has passed the bar and is presumably a partner in her dad's firm and is co-starring in her own ridiculous law firm commercial. Next, we are at Bree's wedding. So we've had big developments there too. And Justin is there and he is super conflicted. Then he is immediately super stunned when he sees Tony saunter down the aisle in a really fantastic dress. She looked great in this scene. Yeah.
They all looked amazing.
Yeah.
Because Bree and Vinny's wedding outfits were phenomenal. Like
Phenomenal.
the wedding scene did give me some feels too. Like
Yeah.
her walk down the aisle and like it was well shot and was it Silent Night was playing?
Well,
Like this-
let me get to that. Okay, stop right there. Now she spots him. So Bree spots Justin and quickly darts her eyes. So she's trying to figure out like what to do with her emotions in this moment. Now we cut to the reception. Now here we go. And we get a sitar version of Silent Night, which I most assuredly did not have on my bingo card for Countdown to Christmas, followed by some Bollywood dancing by the bride and groom. And soon enough, we find out that Justin crashed the wedding, which is weird to me because he is supposed to be like Justin's friend, right? He's supposed to be Vinny's friend. So why wouldn't he be
Bree-
invited to the
We
wedding?
talked about it and Bree told Vinny, don't invite Justin. He doesn't want to see him. And so that they said,
Gotcha.
so Vinny said, well, I told him when it was, but I didn't invite him. I promise I do what my wife.
Oh, I see. Okay, now back to the sitar version of Silent Night.
No, walking down the aisle, I thought it was cute.
Oh, it was cute. The reception version.
Aisle was lovely. The reception version was unexpected, but
Unexpected. It was fun. I did too. I actually, it was just out of left field. Like I was like, oh, sitar version of Silent Night. Not something I would have ever expected to hear in my life, but I'm actually kind of here for it. It was entertaining. So,
well, I appreciated the cultural nods. It's
yes.
a different type of wedding, a different type of ceremony and dance. I thought that was all great.
The Bollywood dancing was really cute. I did like that part.
Yeah.
Anywho, Justin.
Done in a jokey way,
No.
fun way.
Fun way. It felt authentic. Yeah. Felt authentic. Anywho, Justin apologizes. They make up and he asks her to start over. So they kiss and they slow-mo dance and we finally fade to black.
It's time for Gold or Coal.
Okay, it is time for our Gold or Coal segment. If you're new to the podcast, Josh and I will each bring 3 gifts. If there's more gold, it's a fantastic feat. And if there's more coal, it's a dull dud. And if it's a tie, it's just a Merry Christmas. Josh, I'm coming to you first.
So my first gift is going to be coal. So this movie sounded, Jennifer, like a lot more fun in the premise than it actually wound up being for me watching it. It just was a little off for me. I think we needed more development between the friends. I don't know, maybe if we saw them as kids getting into trouble or something. Something was off, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but bottom line, I did not think it was as fun a watch as I was expecting it to be.
I can see that. I don't totally agree because I had fun watching this movie. But I will say they packed in them crashing parties in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's all done.
Maybe we needed more of that. Yeah.
I did think that would continue a little bit more. I know they're in Vermont and that is a whole one big party crash, but the zaniness of it and them taking on these alter egos, all of that's front loaded. And that it is you're coasting on a different story, really. So I can see that. I will give gold because I don't agree with the best friend thing. I thought the best friend relationship was stellar. I thought these girls, to me, felt like they had known each other forever. It was way better than Never Been Chris last year. Remember when they tried the best friend thing, but they were both fighting over Tyler Hines? That was, to me, this friendship seemed more authentic and earned, and that one is always the zany one pushing the other one out of the comfort zone, but then she's the more stable one, kind of grounding Bree, and I thought it was great. It worked for me.
Well, and let me clarify what I said in my first point. I wanted more development from the friends. I did, and this is my second gift. I liked the friend vibes here. I would totally agree with you on that. In fact, I think that the friend relationship was probably, for me, more believable than the romantic relationships were in this particular movie, especially the one between the two leads. Now, the Bree and Vinny relationship, I got that one. I felt like that was earned. The other one, maybe not so much for me. So gold for me, though, because of the friend vibes.
Yes, I will give Cole for the main relationship. The what's his name, Justin? Justin and Tony. Yeah, that didn't work. Other than them oogling at one another, what did they learn about each other, really? They never really went on dates. Like, I think it was all physically driven, and there wasn't a strong foundation with them. I did love the Vinny and Bree relationship.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give a gift for it, but that worked in every way. I agree with you. Okay.
Yeah.
Next.
I am going to give a little bit of gold. I did like the relationship between Tony and her dad and how that sort of played out and how she had to sort of come to grips with her failure and sort of pull herself up by her bootstraps and get it done and work through those sorts of issues and kind of come to a new place in her relationship with her dad. And it was nice to see in the epilogue that she had succeeded and had repaired that relationship, and they were even starring in a goofy Christmas law firm commercial. So I liked how that all played out.
Yeah, I liked the epilogue, and we don't always get it. We don't always get it done well, but I think it made sense in this one that for as mad as Justin was, in my mind, rightfully so, at Tony, time needed to pass before they could reconcile, and that also allowed time for the Bree and Vinny marriage to get in there too. My last gift will be, I will give gold. I thought this was a fresh storyline, and I thought there were a lot of really funny moments. And again, I think it's definitely geared to a more younger crowd overall. Not to put people in boxes, but I was looking at comments on Facebook, and the people who hated it were typically old school Hallmarkers, more the traditionalists. This is not going to be their vibe, right? This is to draw in a new crowd, which I'm sure Hallmark is probably trying to do, especially going after the Swiftie generation with the Chiefs love story movie later this season. They're kind of going after that demographic, which they haven't always had. So I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I do agree the zaniness was more front loaded, but even then, I think there were still some funny moments, like when she got caught, Tony got caught because she had lied and said she was an Olympic skier at one of the previous parties, and then one of those guys was there. So then she has to pretend like she's skiing down a mountain, and she really just fell asleep in the car and had she had a chip on her jacket.
Yeah.
I think you have a chip. She's like, I was so bored skiing that I just had a snack. It was funny to me. I enjoyed that. And I have not been super favorable of Lyndsy Fonseca movies before. She was on Next Stop Christmas. I didn't think that one really worked. Last year we talked about Where Are You Christmas, and the idea was there, but the ending was weird. So this was my favorite movie from her. I think to me it worked. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's not for everybody, but
Yeah.
I had a good time with it.
Yeah. So the bottom line score 4-2. We're going to call it a fantastic fact. And so we also had some feedback on Instagram, and we love hearing from you to get your gauge on what we're watching. So Mackie said this: I thought the father-daughter relationship brought a lot of heart to the movie, and the Santa's injury sugar cookies were a fun tradition. I absolutely would agree. So those were certainly two high points that we thought added a lot. So we think this one's worth...
In the epilogue, I'm sorry, in the epilogue, the Santa cookies of that year where he had an eye patch because he had something happened in the eye.
So funny.
It's just little stuff like that makes me laugh.
I wanted more of that. I guess that's sort of my whole beef with this. I wanted more of those sorts of funny moments. It felt like there was a lot a lot of energy at the front. Like we started so strong, and then it felt like as we went, it kind of slowed and started crawling. It got heavier. Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. But we still think it's worth the watch.
That, friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Special thanks to Nick Schwartz for our great theme song, and of course to all of you for taking the time to listen on your favorite podcast platform and watch us on our YouTube channel.
And hey, while you're here, we would love if you would hit subscribe on YouTube or your podcast platform, leave us a review or a comment, tell a friend, spread the word. We're also really active on Facebook and Instagram. You can give us a follow over there. Anything you need to know is at doyouwatchwhatiwatch.com. Also, soon we are going to post what we're watching and recapping on the website. If we haven't done it by the time this episode comes out, it'll be up soon. So that way you can track what we're going to be watching. If you listen to the recap episode where we did the draft, we may or may not be adding a few little mini reviews in addition to that. So check it out. All right. So join us on our next episode as we embark on another new Hallmark countdown to Christmas movie, Scouting for Christmas. And here is the plot summary. A single mom partners with her daughter's favorite baker for the holiday. All right.
That's it.
Short and sweet. All right. We will have much to discuss, but until then,
May your days be merry and bright. We'll catch you later.